When I was asked to do this, it was a couple weeks ago, and I just went around kind of on my day-to-day, brought a camera along and took pictures of things that I find inspiration in around the city, as far as the parts of the city that I go to on a day-to-day basis. So a lot of the stuff is Hintonburg, the neighborhood where I live and work. I don't really leave there that often, but when I do come downtown, some of the stuff along the way there. You'll notice, I don't know if it's on or anything. One of the first pictures is of the Parliament buildings. It has nothing to do with what goes on inside the Parliament buildings. My inspiration is the buildings in general, the architecture, the way they look. I think a lot of the things that I find beautiful in this city are the things that are being pushed out of the city, unfortunately. A lot of the older buildings, what we tend to do here, it seems, is tear things down. So it's, yeah, pictures of stuff that I've done, and as well as stuff that inspires me. Yeah, as I was saying, especially in neighborhoods where I live, that's where I'm noticing it the most right now, where you have gentrification happening at an alarming rate. If you look down, down Wellington, down Richmond Road, it's now a corridor of ugliness, really crappy buildings. No thought, inspiration, architecturally ugly. It's just about money. It seems to be that's what the driving force is here at the moment. Developers are exploiting areas, not embracing what they're about. And I think that we're at risk of creative people being pushed out of the city. It seems to be the city's mandate to get rid of free thinkers. In an area like Hintonburg, I'll use as my example because that's where I live. It is it has been called kind of the most artistic community in Ottawa. And I think it probably is. But it is that way because of what it was. Because it was lower income, you have typically in any city, that's where artists tend to go because you can afford to be there. Studio space, older buildings, people don't really care what you're doing in them. So you're able to do that. With that comes independent businesses. Independent businesses are able to be in these areas because the rent's cheap. So you have, I've got a great idea, I want to do it. I don't have that much money, but I can do it there. So you have independent businesses as well as things that have been around for years, mom and pop places that are amazing. And that is what creates the energy and what makes the neighborhood attractive. You have people who care about what they're doing. Quality is a huge thing. And people care about each other and what other people are doing, and they will support each other. That makes the neighborhood cool. Along comes the developers. They are able to buy up, these lots for not that much money, but it's a lot of money to the people who own them. So they come in, they offer this huge amount of money. These people are like, yeah, great, I can retire. It gets sold off. And all it's about is how many units can we put in here, how much money can we make, how cheap can we put this building up, without giving any thought whatsoever to why that building is going in there in the first place. So they're not supporting the foundation of that neighborhood. They're exploiting the fact that it's cool. And they're pushing out the reason why it's there in the first place. So they're, I get parasitic, I think is the best way to describe the developers in Ottawa right now. And they're very much supported by City Hall. I fear for creativity in this city. Because I know myself, being in Hintonburg, you know, you have, so with all this coming in, rents go up, people get pushed out. Independent businesses have to move to an area where rents are low again. Chain stores move in, you see it happening, and you see it happen in the Glebe, you see it happen in Westboro. So Ottawa being a small city, I think it happens quicker here because there isn't anywhere to go. So let's say now Hintonburg becomes like Westboro. All the people in that neighborhood, excuse me, are going to be pushed out to where, I'm not sure. Vanier, I guess, is the last spot where things are relatively affordable, and even that is, you know, on the rise. So then, let's say you go to Vanier, and then Vanier is gentrified. Then where do you go? There's nowhere left to go. So where do you go? Hull is the only place. So the city itself is just, fuck it, we don't care. We don't want that. We want money. We want these shitty, basically it's bringing the suburbs into town, is the way I look at it. I don't know if you have seen, I'm sure you have, you know, along Bank Street, how many Shoppers Drug Marts are there? Do we need stacks of suburbs, you know, with box stores in the bottom? No, we don't. If you want to live in the suburbs, stay in the suburbs. If you want to live in the city, live in the city. Don't try and make it this dead, unfortunate mistake. As the guy's name, I can't remember who was before me, who owns this place, was saying, you know, what this used to be. I don't know if you've seen photos of what used to be along the canal, but there used to be really beautiful buildings along here. And what did they do? They tore them all out. I don't know why. The Daily Building. It was at the corner of Sussex. Another beautiful building, torn down, and now we've got condos and Milestones. So I think that what needs to happen is, as a community, we need to stop this from happening. We need to embrace the things that inspire us, have diversity. A lot of it's about texture, history. Like when you have, you know, paint peeling off a wall and there's something that's there underneath. You have buildings that people actually live in. So, you know, Hintonburg, Mechanicsville are awesome for that. If you walk down any of the back alleys there and you look at people's houses, it's like, hey, we need to put another room on the house. Okay, we'll put that here. And then we'll put, well, we need something else. And it's like really interesting structures made of different things out of necessity. These are the things that they need. So it's very lived in and very interesting aesthetically, but as well as its function. And then, you know, now you walk down the alleyway and you see those corrugated metal things they're building everywhere. Those, you know, they'll build 4 of them on the lot where one house was. I don't know if you've seen those. Again, uninspired and uninteresting. I think things need to be preserved in order for there to be, for me anyway, any inspiration walking around. I love seeing decay. I love seeing things that show me that people actually live here. What's happening with things like postering, like the postering bylaws in Ottawa, you're only technically supposed to poster on those metal cuffs that they've put on light fixtures and whatever else. And I think you're allowed to put it on a couple days before your event, and you're supposed to go and take them down afterwards. The reason they put them on those cuffs is so that the city can easily just take a knife, rip the whole thing off, and then they're all gone. I don't know if you've noticed, whenever there's any sort of political figure visiting the town, all the posters along whatever route that they were taking to go to Parliament and wherever else are all removed. It's free advertising, a free way for the individual to get their message out. I don't know if you noticed, they don't cover up all the billboards that companies put up along those same routes. You're not allowed as an individual in this city to do anything. I'm going to talk a bit about skateboarding. It's my biggest inspiration. Skateboarding in the city of Ottawa is illegal, as it is in much other places in the world. The city seems to have, and I think that maybe that's the basis for my train of thought, is the city's hatred of free thinkers. Skateboarding itself is one of the most creative activities I know of. It is the act of finding another purpose for existing things. I was talking about it with my friend the other night. You wax up a curb, a simple curb on a sidewalk. Wax it up and you skate it, and we have hours of fun on a curb. Most people look at a curb, they step up it, or they won't even look at it. I don't know if you notice, maybe if you don't skateboard you don't, but everywhere around town they put these skate stoppers. Yeah, they're like little things which make it uncomfortable to sit on, for one. But they're all put around to stop you from being creative, to stop you from doing the thing that you love to do. So I've been a skateboarder in Ottawa for the past 25 years or so, and have constantly been told, so police will stop you. You can't skateboard here. Okay, where do I go? Go to a park. So they used to send us to Garden of the Provinces across from the archives. We'd go there and skate. NCC comes in. No, you can't skateboard here. You have to go on private property. Go on private property. You get kicked out. This is private property. You can't be here. So myself now, almost 40, buy a house. I buy a house. I build a ramp in my backyard. I get told by the city, well, first one of my neighbors complains I'm building an illegal structure in my backyard. It's not illegal, by the way. So I have bylaw come by. They inspect it, whatever, everything's fine. So I use it, and I know everybody doesn't love it. So what do? I skate maybe once or twice a week maximum on this ramp. And only in the daytime, so between like 1 and 5. I don't want to skate to disturb people during their dinner hour. What do I get? I get my neighbors complaining about the noise. And I also, just as a side note, I live right beside the Queensway. It's very loud. But apparently, soothing. Seriously, that's the argument that they used. So, a bylaw officer comes around. We have something in Ottawa called the Unusual Noise Bylaw. Has anyone heard of this? Unusual Noise Bylaw. Completely up to the discretion of the officer. No time limit. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No decibel rating. How does that work? It's up to the discretion of this moron, the bylaw officer, to say whether or not, you can do what you enjoy. So if I go out in my backyard, I like playing the violin, I can get a $500 fine. If I like whistling, I can get a $500 fine. So I was hassled by bylaw for months. Woke up one morning, and I had 6 guys in suits on my front porch. And I opened the door, and they're like, "Can you please let us in your backyard?" Don't introduce themselves. They assume they have the right to just walk into my backyard and do whatever the fuck they want. I'm like, "Well, who are you? Like, why are you here?" And then they're all humming and hawing, like, "Okay, we're from the city." There's one of the city councilors' representatives, bunch of engineers and other people. They were looking for reasons for me on my own private property to not have this thing that I love, that inspires me in the rest of my life. And so they come in, and the counselor guy, whoever he was, is like, "So if we tell you to tear this down, are you going to tear it down?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not. I'm not going to tear it down if you tell me to tear it down. If I want to tear it down, I will." And So they're, the engineers are looking at it, and structurally there's nothing wrong with it. So what I get 2 weeks later, I get a bylaw officer coming by. Oh, you haven't torn it down yet. It's like, well, I'm not tearing it down. Then I get a notice in the mail that there's all of these listings of things that need to be changed on my ramp in order for it to be able to be there. And all of this still not addressing this unusual noise issue. So regardless of what I did, there was always this unusual noise hanging over my head. In the end, I was planning on, that kind of drove me crazy. I was planning on leaving the city. So I was going to sell my house, tore the ramp down, whatever. With moving my shop to Hintonburg, all of that's changed. But my point is that in itself was enough to push, to almost make me leave, where, my way of expressing myself, my way of enjoying my life, I was also told I was bringing down the quality of life in the neighborhood. How on earth am I doing that? If you want peace and quiet, don't live in the fucking city. It's not a quiet place. This is a place where people live. This is a place where people do things. Everybody has a right to be an individual. In a government town, it's not that obvious, but we do. And I really think that these bylaws and the people that are making them need to be told that this is not right and that we won't stand for this. I've been pulled over in the market. I got pulled over for honking my horn in the market. There was 2 cabs talking to each other, blocking the street. I honked to get one out of the way. I got pulled over because it's illegal to honk your horn in a designated tourist area. It is. And that is what people don't want to come to a city where people live, apparently. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I don't know why there aren't people involved in Ottawa politics that aren't morons. It's not that hard. We really need to, and I know politics is a horrible, boring thing, but I think everybody needs to participate in keeping our city, well, not keeping, making our city more hospitable to artists, creative types, not just artists, creative types in general. We need to, I don't really like too much government interference, but I do think there needs to be some sort of regulation as far as studio space goes. If you're going to have developers move into an area, and they're going to build condos, if they're using that area as an investment, because of what that area is, they have to put something back into that area to keep it what it is. So perhaps studio spaces need to be in every condo development at an affordable rent. Storefront should be kept at an affordable rent in order to keep these businesses and these people in the neighborhood that make this neighborhood interesting and exciting in the first place. I think we're really at risk right now of losing a lot of creative people. It's been that way in the past. I mean, I've noticed recently that more people seem to be coming back to Ottawa. More people are opening things up. You look at all the new restaurants that are opening, which are awesome. A lot of independent businesses. And it's good. People are coming back to Ottawa, and things seem to be, really taking a hold. I don't know if any of you are independent business owners, but the city's not very helpful in starting your own businesses. They're not, you had to jump through so many hoops just to get anything done that I think it's very disheartening to people, but I think people need to push on and just do it. And my attitude about it all is just do it. Don't ask questions, do it. Because chances are the person you're asking the question doesn't know the answer. And if they don't, they're going to make up some stupid reason why you can't do it. So I think everyone really needs to take a stand and do those things that you love. And don't ask questions about it and move forward instead of destroying everything that we have. As far as being an artist in the city, gallery space is kind of limited. I'm hoping, I've opened a small gallery myself, which will be kind of, I think, starting in the fall, we'll have regular shows going on. That's a bit of a plug. And I hope that more galleries do better shows. I find right now the quality is kind of lacking. So hopefully, the public will demand better art, and maybe the owners of galleries will go out and find better artists rather than just doing what's easy. I grew up with a bunch of people here, a bunch of very talented artists. I don't really know why there was this circle of people that I knew, and they all left. And it's sad because you see that happen with everything, right? Like these people, a lot of really good things come out of this city, but everyone always gets to a point, and they feel that they have to move somewhere else in order to further their career, be it music, art, whatever. So you have creative types going, all right, well, I got to go where shit's going on already. I'm going to go to Montreal. I'm going to go to Toronto. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to go to Vancouver, whatever, where things are already happening. I've always been a very strong advocate for making things happen where you are. That way you can do things on your schedule, your agenda. You're not moving into someone else's scene, becoming something that is already happening. Why not stay where you are? Yeah, it's a bit more work, but stay where you are and make it work. Make it happen, regardless of government intervention, regardless of shitty neighbors. Just do what you're passionate about and make it happen. And I think you see that happening now. You do see people in Ottawa being definitely going more towards the independent and more towards quality as opposed to just dollar signs. I hope that we're able to attract some of those people back who have left the city. Hopefully it's not too late. And I don't know, I think what everyone, and what I found when I was kind of walking around thinking about this, when I'm looking at things, really walk around and look at what's going on, look at the things that are being built, things that are being torn down, the things that have been there before. The fact that there is history and there's beauty in that history, and there's so much that's already been here before, and a lot of it's been raised and removed, but it's there if you look for it. There are definitely some really neat little pockets in this city. I think my favorite street, I don't know if any of you know it, is Hilda, I think it is, in Mechanicsville, or right on the edge of Hintonburg. This little skinny street, beautiful houses. People are out on their porch all the time. And I think that's another thing that really needs to happen more, is more social gathering, not just going out drinking, but actual socializing with people. Things like this. This space I love that this space is happening. We have 3 waterways in this city, and none of them are used for anything other than running, biking, whatever. Why aren't the waterfronts developed? Why are we not embracing that? It's, why don't we have any, other than now the Mill Street Brewery, we have nothing along that beautiful stretch of river. It should be, in my eyes, you know, you could have cafes, stores. It could be open air in the summertime. And it would be a beautiful place. I mean, I think people would go out and hang out and interact. Because I think that if you look at what's happening again with the condos, is it's not promoting socializing. You go in, you go to your unit, you go downstairs, you buy what you need at the store that is everywhere, and you go back up to your place and you're on your computer and whatever. We need people to be outside. You need people to be interacting with one another. I think public barbecues would be a great thing in parks, where, you know, on a Sunday afternoon people could go out, you know, if there was hibachis set up. I think there are some along the river where you could go and you could have a barbecue and people can come and you can just hang out. It would be nice if you could drink beer, but unfortunately you can't. So yeah, I think really we need to make an effort as a community to keep creativity in the city. We have to become more of a community, not be a bunch of individuals, not be afraid to take chances. And I think then we'll be able to hopefully sway what's happening now with this development in a favorable way, in a way that we can all still be here, still be creative, and still be inspired by our surroundings and inspired by the people around us.
Just wondering, bigger cities like New York or Toronto, they're much bigger than Ottawa, and yet they still have a lot of creative areas. And so what makes them, in your mind, different from Ottawa? Because it seems like you have fear that we're kind of losing it, but I seen from other big cities that they kind of take a hold, like they do things like we do now, and they make streets or sections or boroughs that are very creative. And so what makes Ottawa different from them?
I mean, it's like you said, other big cities. Ottawa's not a big city. Yeah, but it's not a matter of yeah. It starts small, and that's what I'm saying. Is you have, but it requires effort. It's not just going to happen, right? You have to really fight for these things to happen. As far as Ottawa goes, yeah, there is. I mean, it's growing, but the way Ottawa's growing right now, there's a lot of infill, right? So it's just it seems like a contained space where, you know, there isn't going to be a whole lot of room for expansion. And that being said, there is no, I mean, anything that's being added on is new, right? So there's not that, you don't have areas where there are buildings falling into disrepair, where you have places that have been kind of given up on for people to move into and take over. We don't have that. We've never had the industry to have warehouse space the way it is in these other major centers. And anything that was, like he said, I strongly recommend you look at the photos of what Ottawa used to look like. We did have things like that, but we've torn them down. And so moving forward from here, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Do you think like starting off as an animator, has that influenced your tattooing style? I personally think it's a little bit different from what I've seen, but maybe that's just your different style. Or do you think it comes from having been an animator before? And then my other question is, I noticed that we have a lot of tattoo studios in Ottawa, and I'm just wondering, is there what do you think? I don't know what the reason is. Is it just Ottawa loves tats, or are we like getting an influx of hipsters, or what's going on here?
Yeah, as an animator, yeah, it definitely affected the way I look at things. I think working in animation, I was my thought of movement a lot, and I think that comes through in the way I draw. And definitely, I mean, in the way I draw, the way I paint, the way I tattoo, it's all one thing. So yeah, definitely played a part. As far as all the studios in Ottawa, I don't know. I think if you look at any city, there's a lot of tattoo studios. There's been a lot in Ottawa for quite a while. The newer ones you see are the ones that are popping up outside of the downtown core. So, Barhaven, Bell's Corners, baseline. Yeah, so you have it, just kind of moving out into those areas for those people who don't want to travel into town to get tattooed. And yeah, I don't know that we have more than anywhere else or less. I just think it just kind of is the state of what it is.